So, hello, I'm Dominic Francis, and this is my presentation for Unit 13 of Global Environments. So, within this presentation, what we will be going over is international political change, international organisations' management of recent political situations, forms of communication of the media, reporting global issues, and portrayal of the public services. So, first thing we'd like to go over are the big three political international changes. So, political international change is the change in politics that affects the world. So, very simple, very dry and cut. So, first one I want to talk about is Theresa May and Brexit. And looking very happy right there. There we go. So, with this, what's going on is that Theresa May ran for Prime Minister a few years ago, but she didn't get the winning vote. However, what did get the winning vote years before then was Brexit. The Brexit idea was for us to leave the EU because we didn't want to be situated to their ideals and what we had to do to provide for them. So Theresa May was a huge backer for this. So what she intended for us to do was for us to get a deal, for us to leave, and we could be independent from them. However, this has not been going well since the vote of 2016. So even still going on today, she even put forward recently that she'll put her job title of Prime Minister on the table till if she didn't get the deal. Recently in an event, she has now standing down as Prime Minister, so we no longer have a Prime Minister ourselves. We now need to vote for someone again, so there'll be another recent election at some point. But this is causing massive distrust with us and also the government because we are unsure of what most people are unsure what Brexit is. Like if you ask most common people, they're not going to know. But this, as we keep talking about Brexit, it keeps getting postponed further and further. Now saying that it's going to be coming in 2019, in June next year. But that's likely going to be pushed back further even more. So as she stepped down, now we're needing to vote again. Another political international change is Donald Trump. With Donald Trump is in his election, he won the election in 2016 when he was running against Hillary Clinton. He was running for the Republicans. And this has caused a massive amount of controversy within the US around the world. Because you get people who are constantly accusing him for sexism, racism, fascism, and every other ism there could be. Well, also being very skeptical of his plans of building a wall between US and Mexico. He's on the process now. They've actually started building it already, making prototypes and everything like that. But this was all to help him with decreasing illegal immigration, which it has done. But it's obviously people are unsure if it's from a actual view of wanting to help the nation or if it's more of a personal one due to racist ideas or anything like that. I'm not getting into that myself, where we'll keep it unbiased. But then if we do look at many figures and facts, it is increasing the economy. It has also, he's helped with employment. So despite if you would disagree with some of them, what he says, he's having an effect. He's having more of an effect than Barack Obama did the previous term. But then again, that is also another political change. So, who political changes there that are affecting the internationally? Last one we'll look at is Robert Mugabe. Robert Mugabe was the tyrannical dictator of Zimbabwe. He was in charge of the nation for 37 years, and he ran it as a dictatorship by electing himself. Without the vote of the public, this corrupted the style of leadership of the nation, and it went downhill. The economy started dropping, people were living in poorer conditions, members of the public were being harmed and killed in gruesome ways by Mugabe's men. So there's even multiple threads of his what can be dubbed as war crimes. This caused the military of that government and also the government themselves of the nation to get involved and also take him out of power. This is not considered a coup because it wasn't in advance of someone's personal political agenda. It was actually in what they deemed a peace operation for the better of the people. Okay. If we go to the next page, we're looking at international organizations' management of recent political changes. So, one good one to look at is UN and NATO and other organisations similar. UN, the United Nations, is a organisation, and NATO were both organisations set to establish to help guide and maintain global and political decisions whenever necessary. So UN's more about people getting along. NATO is more about how we use our national security around the world. Examples of this today we can see are the UN's involvement between the dispute of North Korea and the USA. So between the leader Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump, as we stated before. Due to the ever-increasing potential risk that one day there could be a nuclear fallout through the nation's leaders, because they're constantly going back and forth, insulting one another, thinking that they have power over the other one. Donald Trump not wanting to back down from Kim Jong-un's threats. This has caused recent tension. To intervene, what the UN did was they got involved by cutting Korea's trading routes with China, so making it harder for them to sell their goods, which in turn makes them harder to fund anything, the idea was to reduce their chances of going forth with nuclear projects. But this, however, caused massive controversy. Many people in the public did not agree with this, as the UN had made an agreement. As this would result in innocent civilians of North Korea likely to suffer the consequences of the action. So less funding, less support, less food, and also it will anger Kim Jong-un. He was known that he sometimes would show mites of power. However, in recent news, though, without the help of the UN, the Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un had made an agreement to cease hostilities, and they're trying to make progress and working with one another to a peaceful agreement, making agreement talks, summits, conferences, and nations. So this is an example of an international organisation like the UN getting involved, but in the end it's not being received well. An opposite way we can look at where the UN involvement has been a massive help has been during the refugee crisis. So within the refugee crisis, we are having many people from war-torn areas like civil war in Syria and other similar countries, resulting in camps needing to be established due to people leaving their countries to come to Europe. This involves both us, the UK, France, Holland, and Germany. So now that we've got all these refugee camps are needed to get set up. These are set up by non-statutory services, charities, and other group organisations. So they need a public's funding, but it is not like a statutory service, so it's not based on tax. So there's only so much we can do. But the UN does get involved in other organisations similar to them. Even the EU and also NATO sometimes gets involved by helping supply food, drink, clothes, blankets, tents, and other resources that are needed. So this is an opposite to what happened in North Korea. So North Korea, their involvement, it caused massive controversies, and many people thought it wasn't a help, and it was actually causing more risk and harm, while the other one was their involvement actually was a massive help and could have gone better if we didn't. Next slide is forms of media and the communication. So during recent times, communication has changed massively, especially with the creation of social media. Social media allows us to have information on the go. There's never a point you're not going to be able to get information. Like on the tablet I'm using, my laptop that I'm pushing through, even smart TVs, and also the phone I'm recording on can get information quite easily via Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, any article you want to get. The benefit of this is that information can be updated on the go, unlike old times where you release papers and then you have to send another paper out to correct any mistakes you made. And also we have 24-hour coverage, so we're always knowing what's going on. Everything's always changing, and there are many ways that we can keep track of this. One particular one I would like us to look at, as you see I've got a link here, down here. You can also check on it later on if you want. It's parliamentlive.tv at the Commons. What this allows is members of the public to access this website, and we can watch Parliament debates. Parliament debates is how us as a country decide what our government's going to do, what laws are going to be made, and what's going to happen. So just very easy for us to keep track of what's occurring. Next, so now that we have the creation of these new forms of information of the media, we need to talk about how it portrays our public services and how it affects them themselves. So when looking at the media and the link of the public service, it's important to analyse how they portrayed us and portray the services. This involves reporting major incidents, crimes, and other events in the services that go worldwide, or it can also range from the smaller events such as a local newspaper and Facebook pages and everything like that, dealing with antisocial behaviour, little scale events and everything. But the ones that will get broadcasted all over are like examples like the London riots, the Grenfell Tower fire, or maybe even the Jamie Bulger kidnapping. Public services must be aware of how they act and how they portray themselves, especially nowadays the public eye is on them 24/7, paying close attention. Often putting it, the media often puts attention to the services when they're giving heroic acts and they're showing acceptance of competence, but they also are very likely to put a massive amount of light on if the services made a mistake, amplifying it for what they did wrong. An example of what we can look at is the whole London riots incident when Mark Duggan, a man who on the 4th of August was killed in 2011 due to the idea of an officer believing he had a firearm and shot him. This was portrayed massively incorrect for many points of the media. The media getting the wrong idea. So first it was favouring the police officer, as we see here. So this was what the photo was. It was designed to make him look quite aggressive, Mark Duggan. So this one here was one of the pictures, making it seem like he was aggressive, he was a gangster, simple things like that. But then also talking about how he was likely to have a firearm, and he did have one. But then if you look at the image expanded, it's actually him at a funeral, holding his daughter's gravestone, saying, "Daughter's always in our hearts," which will be passed around. So this caused a massive thing about the media and the police being racist and everything like that. But then if we also look at the effects of this, we can look at the London riots. And the London riots was a mixed bag for the police. The police were at moments shown that they weren't able to handle the situation at hand, that it was out of their chances of doing, but also we were trying to get hope on supporting the services, saying that they were heroic and everything like that. And it is literally just how we report on information. So reporting on this information can be a mixed bag. So you get many people who in the media who will film and portray it for a certain wrong. So if, let's say, there's a news station that is very supportive of the military during the Afghanistan war, they probably would have said, yes, we're doing a great job over there, we're helping, everything like that, which would have inspired recruiting, put the military in a positive light. But then if you look at another news station who possibly might be very anti-war, very anti-military, they may start putting more information out of how we're actually causing more issues, that the people didn't want us there, and that we should be withdrawing. So with the services, you need to be very careful how the media views you. So that's why they are always careful on how they're portrayed, because what is reported can be very dangerous. So, thank you for listening. That was Me by Dominic Francis. And these are my references if you would like to look them up at all. And yes, thank you. That is all I have.